Back with the React Court, it has been 2 weeks, which is crazy. Um, there's been a lot of strife in the world. There's been a lot of situations rife for a little debate on the internet. Who's in the right? Who's in the wrong? You know, I'm ready to be back here. Everyone's saying you're the asshole. What just because I took a vacation with my baby? Am I the asshole for taking a vacation with my baby? I don't think so. Our second React court of the week here might be We Want Plates, which I believe is a subreddit for being served things in restaurants in bizarre ways. Like the classic example I always think of is this: there was this restaurant in the Bay Area that went viral for the wrong reasons because they served you your meal on like an iPad, like on a powered down Apple tablet. Anyway, we'll see. But for now, let's just go look through. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for giving a girl a ride to a party but not home from it? She said I stranded her. I do want to say I have no respect for the post that, and this is all of them, that makes it look like there's no way they couldn't be the asshole, and then they're obviously, or there's no way they could be the anything but the asshole, and then they're clearly actually just being nice. But anyway, here we go. Am I the asshole for giving a girl a ride to a party but not home from it? I was going to a friend's afternoon garden party at her house. Tell me you're part of the 1% without telling me you're part of the 1%. My plan was to drive there, stay at the party for a while, then afterwards meet up for a date at a brewery near my friend's house. Then potentially stay over at my date's place, which was close to my friend's house, or get an Uber home, but not drive my car after I've been drinking. This is written by a streamer. You know how I can tell? No rational person would have raked them over the coals and assumed that their plan was drunk driving. Most rational people would have given them the benefit of the doubt, but instead, they're baking like every possible bad faith assumption and counter argument into the statement. So instead of just being able to say, my plan was to take an Uber back, they have to go through all the rationale and reasoning to be above criticism. But anyway, when I was about to go to the party, I mentioned I'd be driving there and bringing a car full of firewood in group chat. A girl who's a friend of a friend asked me if she could get a ride to the party. She was coming from the same area as me. I said, sure, we went to the party. We didn't really hang out at the party. I was talking to other friends. That night, I left the party, leaving my car parked near my friend's house to go on the date. It went well. I went to her house, which was close by, for the night. Quit bragging, man. Quit bragging. What I didn't know was the girl I'd driven to the party was waiting for me to be ready to leave, thinking I was still at the party and would be driving home that night. She thought that because we'd come together, we'd also leave together. She texted a few times, but I didn't see the texts. She was also looking for me and asking other people if they'd seen me, but the people she happened to ask didn't know me well and didn't know that I'd left. Can I tell you, right now, this is totally fine, just bad communication. She should have asked, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's unreasonable for her to assume that she's also getting a ride home from the person who gave her a ride there. That's just the communication mishap. Now, I'm deliberately not reading any further ahead. Do you think that in the next 4 paragraphs it's all going to fall apart? You don't comment if you've read further ahead, but so many of these are like 75% of the way. Just normal human communication errors happen all the time. Then it's, she told my friend that she got abandoned at the party and was forced to sleep in the woods, and now nobody will talk to me anymore. The next morning, I saw her text. I texted her back to say, sorry, I'd missed her messages. I hadn't been going back that way last night anyway, though. She sent me an upset message saying you don't just give someone a lift 40 minutes from home and then not drive them home, stranding them late at night. You can't push lunch. You just can't. Whose bag is this? I almost tripped on it. I said I didn't realize she was also asking for a lift home. And then he's like, that'll be $30, and everybody clapped. I thought when she asked me for a lift there, she literally just meant a lift to get there. If she said there and back, I would have said I couldn't promise that. I wasn't sure I'd be going back that way. She said I was being deliberately stupid. It honestly didn't occur to me, like I feel it's presumptive to assume. Am I the asshole for driving another girl to a party but not home? You're the asshole for making this post, and it's the top post of Am I the Asshole filter this week. For the whole week, this is as spicy as it got. I don't even think this is an everybody sucks here. I think this is a no asshole situation, but they both made one critical mistake. Look, putting myself in the shoes of the girl, I would assume, I would definitely also ask, but I would assume that it's a package deal. I mean, if you're driving like 40 minutes away, there was no point during the 40 minutes where you couldn't have been like, hey, are you coming back as well? Like, or, can I also get a drive back? And then, even if he said no, at least you would then be able to plan around it. But the fact that they didn't talk about it over the course of the entire drive is kind of baffling to me. But I can understand why she would assume that she would also be getting a drive back. Because, I mean, we were going 40 minutes away. I mean, I'm not saying he's beholden to her, but you would assume that maybe like that's the easiest way, the most frictionless way for it to happen. But then also from OP's perspective, I mean, I do think it's a little STEM lordy. I don't know if that's the terminology I would use given more time, but it's a little STEM lordy to be like, well, you merely asked for a ride there, which I complied with. You never said anything about the ride back and that omission. I will just say, honey, you reap what you sow. That being said, they are also right. So I think I think this is just literally like, look, it's no fun if I just say everybody's okay here. Who has 51% of the blame for the situation? The passenger. Absolutely, in my opinion. Because I think it's on the passenger to be in control of their own well-being in that sense. You got to figure out, like, you don't just go to the airline counter and be like, one ticket to New York, and then show up at the airport like for your return trip that you don't even have a ticket for, and be like, well, what the heck? I gotta buy a second ticket now? You gotta be in charge of your own itinerary there. But I don't know. This one's honestly just kind of boring, if I'm being straight up with you. I think that, yes, just the fact that you've posted it is like, I mean, I just consider it unworthy of even a post. There's got to be something better. How about this one? Hold on. I don't know if you can hear Tomo beating down my door. Tomo. Well, welcome. I don't think that the word ride implies that it's there and back. I do think that's the assumption I would make, but I don't think there's an implication there necessarily. Am I the asshole? Hold on. Am I the asshole for not wanting our son to bring women into our house in the middle of the night? Oh no. Let's see. This one definitely seems a little spicier. Arguments are horrific. That's just, I don't know. Why does it start like a song by The National or something? Arguments are horrific. The arguments arise regarding our oldest son, 25, and his refusal to adhere to a rule that neither his longtime, short-term, temporary, etc. girlfriends are allowed to come in our house in the middle of the night. It's a simple rule. No girls in our house without our knowledge in the middle of the night. That is not a simple rule, okay? Because the first thing I want to ask is, what is the middle of the night? If he's bringing a girlfriend over at like 8:30 and you go to bed at 8, like, what are you supposed to do? If it's like 3 a.m., then we can start to talk. But like, okay, let's take a look. Tomo, I love you, man. I love you. Could you just back it up a little bit? Just back it up. Unfortunately, our 25-year-old son, he continues to flaunt. Our sexy hunk son continues to flaunt this rule. Hey, mom and dad, I'm not just going to bang this girl in the bushes like you want. I'm going to go home to my safe, warm bed. instead of finding a porta potty somewhere. We have outdoor security cameras, and we are able to see him sneak his girlfriends. Well, he keeps using etc. I don't know. I don't know why he's being so weird about it. Able to see him sneak his girlfriends, etc., in and out of the house at all hours of the night. As background, this issue came to head a number of years ago when we told our son his longtime girlfriend could no longer come upstairs after 10 p.m. where we have our family bedrooms. 2 days after we implemented this rule, he was caught breaking it. He did it again a few years later. Honest question, dude, are you stupid? So the only interpretation that I think it's possible to glean from this is that the son's bedroom is also upstairs, right? So they sleep on the same floor, but his girlfriend is not allowed to also come upstairs into his bedroom after dark. Hold on, this cat, man. I love you, Tomo, but why you want the pets right now, buddy? Oh, just go into the box. There you go. Oh, and now he's gone. He's like, I want some more. This is insane. Like, this is in my opinion, kind of almost an insane rule to have for like, I mean, I don't want to get too into the issue, I guess, but even for like a teenage child to be like you can't have your boyfriend or girlfriend upstairs after 10, but a 25-year-old is well beyond kind of the bounds of absurdity. Since then, there are numerous instances of girls we know and girls we don't know that come and go into our home at all hours of the night. The latest occurred with this long-term girlfriend being snuck into the house at 5:30 and leaving before the house awakened. The security cameras caught them purposely trying to be avoided. I feel like I need to raise another concern here, which is, if the only way you can notice this stuff happening is on the security cameras and no crimes are being committed, then who cares? If your 25-year-old son snuck his girlfriend in at 5:30 for like an hour and a half and you only notice later that day when you pored over the security footage like a psycho, then what's the big deal? My wife and I decided that even though he was 25, he would have a curfew from 12 a.m. to 7 a.m. Where, by the way, this is not the asshole, is the flare here. I'm dying. My wife and I decided that even though he's 25, he would have a curfew from 12 a.m. to 7 a.m., whereby he either had to be home by midnight and stay home, or had to stay out until the next morning. In addition to brining, that's not cool. In addition to bringing his girlfriends into the home, it's very disruptive when he's constantly coming in and out at all hours of the night. Look, I can accept that it would be annoying to hear someone entering and leaving your home at all hours of the night. I can relate to and understand that, but you do also have a child, like an adult child living with you. I feel like there's an element of like, that's kind of just life. Like, you can't mandate somebody's life to the extent that they literally never inconvenience you. I think you just have to accept that when you live with other people, especially when they're family. I mean, you could be like, hey, keep it down, but you can't be like, hey, you can't leave the house between 12 a.m. and 7 a.m. Anyway, my wife communicated. Oh, this curfew was a means to address these issues and was created jointly between my wife and I. Both of the parties involved. Me and my wife, who side on the same issue, and also my wife is always capitalized, which is truly hilarious. But didn't even ask the child. Okay, my wife communicated this curfew to him 2 days ago. I refuse to speak to him because he's bigger and stronger than me. Last night he came home at 1:50 a.m. I didn't even talk about the fact that, like, and again, I am closer to the son's age than the parents, presumably. I hope. Although the father does kind of sound like a little kid. You really want to have a curfew 12 a.m. to 7 a.m.? So if your son can't come home if he's like, oh, the Uber's going to get me there at 12:30, then he's like, I guess I'm just going to go sleep on the street? Like, that's not the really good parenting in my world. It's like how about like it's always, you've always got a safe place here, but please, be respectful. I know that's like a perfect world situation, but I'm just saying. Anyway, last night he came home at 1:50 a.m., 2 days after the new rule it was broken. He did call my wife to ask if he could come home late, and she agreed. So it sounds like he actually didn't really break the rule. It sounds like he got permission to break the rule, actually. I told her that I was shocked he would have the nerve to even ask 2 days after breaking our only real rule except for the other rule. This resulted in another huge argument in that I feel like the lack of retribution is the root cause of why he keeps breaking the rule. Why wouldn't he keep breaking the rule? The only thing that happens is my wife and I fight as a result. This guy's actually like my son. We've got to remove the safety net and let my son hit rock bottom. This destructive habit of coming home after midnight and sleeping with his girlfriend in his own bedroom is too much. He's going down a bad path. I feel it is fair and reasonable to not allow our 25-year-old son to bring his girls to our home in the middle of the night, and while my wife agrees, this continues to happen and be a source of arguments. Her perspective is that I have it in for him, and my perspective is simple. Just show us the necessary respect by doing exactly what I say at all times and follow this pretty obvious rule and also the other obvious rule. I'm being called the asshole because I won't let this issue go, and it's a recurring source of arguments, as I feel is a lack of respect which is fundamental and shouldn't be let go. How about the lack of respect that you've got for your adult son, who is probably like the age that you were when you had him in the first place? My wife thinks I'm the asshole for not letting the issue go and for not waiting until he eventually moves out. Okay. I am dying. Not the asshole. Hold on. You can't see, but I'm being completely sincere. Not the asshole. 63%. What? Everybody sucks here, 16%, which I have to be honest, I don't fully agree with. You're the asshole, 10%. I already know what the comments are going to be, but I am going to read them. You know as well as I do what it's going to be. We'll say it on 3. 3, 2, 1, your house, your rules. Even if you told him he had to strip naked when he comes in and get deloused, even though he's an adult with autonomy and you should have your son's best interest in mind and, et cetera, et cetera. If you pay the mortgage, then legally it's not, you're the jurisdiction, you're the warden of the prison, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see what they say here. Oh yeah, also maybe a little jealousy because it sounds like the son is just laying pipe 24/7. You know what? Not the asshole. It serves him right. If you're gonna fuck in the daytime, mister. Freaking sexy hunk. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out how to open this post. I'm like, how do you open a post, man? Oh, there we go. I got it. All right. Okay, let's learn together, okay? Hey, I'm all for different perspectives, man. Let's see what we get. Not the asshole, but you need to enforce these rules. Hold on. Tell me more about this part. Not the asshole, but you need to enforce these rules. You either need to start being a boner killer and banging on his bedroom door when he brings these women home. But that would require the father to wake up when it actually happens instead of merely poring over the security footage like a fucking psycho the next day. Or you can put an extra set of deadbolts on the door that get locked at midnight and unlocked at 7 a.m. Holy crap, you guys are insane. Anybody else lock their son out of their house because I don't like when he stays out a little bit late? Don't get me wrong. Like, someone coming home at 4 a.m., like if I woke up, would be annoying for me. Coming home at like 12:30, I would be like, he's 25. He's 25 years old. Also, you should tell your wife that your son is never actually going to move out. How would you know this at all? Why bother when he can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, with no consequences, and have someone to keep the house clean? This has to be an alt for the OP. It's the only, I'm not even going to get into the economics of whatever. Just like, do you think the kid really, like, if he had options, he would be like, oh, I love living at home and getting harassed by my dad for like going to bed at 1 a.m., even though I'm an adult. Um, I'm also, I don't know if this was like edited or something, but the kid's 25 years old, has no job, accused his dad of having it out for him when he was told to get a job, and pays no rent. Like, none of that is actually located in the post. Maybe that was edited later. I don't know. It sounds like he made that up. OP, at some point, you need to kick him out. Just hold on. Just everybody sucks here. Your son is the asshole for not respecting the rules of your house. However, you and your wife are as well for allowing it to continue for so long. I am dying that there is, we're only 2 parent comments in here, but I am dying that nobody has said your rules are ridiculous and have gone too far, and instead everybody else is just like, you're the asshole for not enforcing your totally sensible rules. Not the asshole. Why are you coddling a man in his mid-20s by allowing him to sleep in his bedroom when he pleases, and apparently doesn't even like wake you up? You got to see the security footage after. I got the impression this is more about them not wanting to be awoken by the sound of ham slaps more than trying to coddle their son. So good. Ham slaps. Not the asshole. It's not his house, it's yours. If he wants to do whatever he wants, then he could just buy his own house. He's the asshole, not you. He's being disrespectful by not listening to you. Holy crap, man. This is crazy. Yeah, I don't know why, and I don't think this is, I always default to the idea that it's like an American thing, and I don't think that's fair. I'm just realizing homeowners have lost their mind. As one myself. I'm like, look, I don't even make the rules in my own house, so maybe this is just par for the course for me to be a little bit lackadaisical about it. But I'm like, when you have like a kid, like, you can say your house, your rules, but at the same time, like, I feel like the kind of parental love you have for your son has to, make it a little bit more accommodating for that as well. Oh my God. I'm baffled by him bringing home randoms at all hours. I moved back home at 26 after leaving an abusive relationship and then stayed because my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And yet, it's going to be like I did whatever they told me at all times. My parents knew I didn't have to be there, but I stayed to help. We had one rule. If you're not going to be home by the time we wake up, text us so we won't worry. That's a good rule. That's actually a fantastic rule. If you're going to be out late, send us a text that's like, I'll be home late, don't stay up. Just go to bed rather than wait. If I had sex, I usually had it somewhere else. Okay, there were some times I had it at home, which completely invalidates the point I was going to make, but usually I followed the rule. Usually I played by the standards that I'm forcing on this stranger. There were times my boyfriend stayed with me when my parents had gone, and I would never, ever disrespect my parents by having sex in their home while they were there. Is this a rule as well that I'm not? This is why you need a notary public. If you pay the mortgage, you're the only person legally allowed to fuck in that house. Please do not let the landlords figure this out, because it's going to be written as a clause into every lease. You really trying to fuck in the garage that I converted into an illegal suite? No ham slaps allowed, honey. This is insane. I would never disrespect my parents by having sex in their home, while they were there. When they weren't there, it was open season, man. 24/7. Certified freak. Not the asshole, but isn't it a little late to demand respect from your 25-year-old since he violates your rules every chance he gets? Do people... I can't believe I'm spending like half an hour just on this one specific post, but it's the first Am I the Asshole post I've ever seen where I disagree so much with the consensus. Like this one's blowing me away. I think you got to realize like there's two reasons that someone might break your rule, okay? One of the rules is one of the reasons someone might break your rule is because they don't have respect. The other one might be that your rule just is stupid. Like your rule might just actually suck, and you've designed it in such a way that there's essentially no way to comply with it. You know, if you made a rule that was like no eating, and then someone was like, hey, 12 hours later, he was breaking it. He couldn't even make it a month. I mean, anyway, not the asshole. Okay, your house, your rules. When he has a place he pays for, he can have his own rules. Sounds like he needs a job and an apartment. Thanks, the cum catcher. I do find this part weird. Or he had to stay out until the next morning. I'd rather have my kid home if he's got nowhere else to go. Like, what's the point of that? What's the desired effect? By the way, you're not the asshole. Your house, your rules. If he wants to break the rules, he can get his own fucking apartment. He can pull himself up by his bootstraps. By the way, this one part of your post specifically, I think makes you an asshole. Not the asshole, by the way. You're not an asshole, but I agree with you 100%, except for this one specific part that I think makes you an asshole, but you're not the asshole. Okay. Hold on. What's the point of this rule? To not affect people when they're asleep. It's very rude to come walking into someone's home. Someone in this case, by the way, being your parents, your life givers, that late, unless it was mentioned beforehand. Plus, he is 25, not 15. Wherever he is, he can stay until 7. I'm 21. My parents have the same rules for me. College student and doesn't pay any bills. The self-report at the end. Not the asshole. And there's one solution for this. Kick your son out of your house. That's the reading between the lines. Not the asshole. Even ordinary roommates typically make agreements about when and how often dates can be in the house. Look, first year university, first time I ever lived with a roommate, never broached the conversation at all. My roommate had his girlfriend come from out of the city to stay with us. Our dorm room had 2 single beds. I was like, as long as she sleeps in your bed, I'm not sweating it. Big whoop. It was just assumed that it's an accommodation you make when you live with other people. Second year university, I lived with 6 other people. Never had this conversation about, romantically who's allowed to come over and how often. Now, were there some times maybe in third year where we were like, hey, one of our housemates' girlfriends basically lives with us, and yet he's paying the normal amount of the utility share, and as a result, maybe he should be paying 2/8 instead of 1/7. We did consider that at times. However, that's not that big of a deal. That's like a $20 a month difference probably overall. Apart from that, nobody really cared. It was not Malf. I never lived with Malf. Plus, Malf, he's very respectful. Info, is he paying rent? Hi, he does not pay rent or any house bills. Okay, so this is where some of the info came from. He's 25 years old. Kick him out. You're going to make me cyberbully, man. This is where you then go into their post history and figure out what else they're posting. If they ever posted anything about the economy being fucked up or like minimum wage being too low, that's where you go into the post history and you're like, oh, really? Because you were advocating for someone who's 25 years old to get kicked out of their parents' house just because you're jealous that they're laying pipe constantly. Okay, we finally found a post that maybe we can find some common ground with. Everybody sucks here. You can't give a 25-year-old man a curfew. That's ridiculous. We have found a human being that lives in the real world, at least a little bit. You definitely cannot give a 25-year-old man a curfew. If he's going to live with you, then he needs to pay rent. Maybe, okay, look, you buy yourself some honey with this. I don't necessarily agree with that, but it depends on the situation, I guess. At that point, okay, sure. If he pays rent, then his visitors are his business. That's fair. If he's waking you up and causing a disturbance, that's one thing. But you fixating on this rule is masking the real problem. This is very true. He's acting like a teenager and you're treating him like one. This is an unhealthy cycle. Tell him he has 1 month to get his act together and start paying rent or move out. You should make him move into the basement room either way to give you all some space. This, honestly, this has made me a little bit more amenable to that side. I do understand he has a little bit more ability to say he can do what he wants if he pays some rent, for sure. I'm not saying he should have to pay rent. I also think that forcing your 25-year-old son to vacate his bedroom to go live in the basement is just it's always a weird like power flex, right? Like it's like a prison warden inmate situation. Dude, I'm dying at this stuff. Not the asshole. It's your home, your rules. You make the rules. If he wants to make the rules, he needs his own place. He needs to grown up or and GTFO of your house. He's acting like a baby. I'm surprised a woman, the air quotes don't even make any sense, would even date someone. Oh, you know what? Because here's what he's saying. Any woman that would date somebody who doesn't respect his father's curfew is not a woman. They're merely a girl. I understand. That's what he's saying there. By the way, he's getting super entitled, and that isn't going to change. Source, dude, just trust me. You should give him a 60-day notice to evict. This will help him grow up. I know it works from experience. A post that I read on the Turning Point USA forums. Holy shit. It's his home too, minus 13 votes. Oh, no, it isn't. He doesn't even pay rent or help with the bills. Besides, there's a pandemic. Bringing strangers home is dangerous. But not between the hours of 7 a.m. and midnight. That's when the virus sleeps. Oh man, what a post. I mean, that one. Whew, I got a lot of meat out of that one. Oh, we finally have our first asshole post. Oh no, come on, man. Come on. This one, there's no way. Yeah, am I the asshole filtered doesn't have it only allows the judgment bot to collate the results. It doesn't show the like people there don't talk about their reaction to it. Am I the asshole for assigning my family homework and not visiting until it's done? I recently quit my PhD program to get a job because I realized academia was not what I wanted and I was better off just using my master's to get a job. Everyone I know from school or has experience with grad school agreed I'm doing the right thing because I've only done 1 year of PhD classes, so it's a good time to quit. I've had people tell me they wish they'd quit at my level, but they feel trapped now because they're well into their dissertations. My family were not understanding. None of them have ever been to grad school, but they believe that I was very far along and quitting at the last minute. For context, how long is a PhD? A PhD is like another, it's four plus years, right? 4 to 6 years, 4 to 8 years. Average length 5 to 7 years. Okay, so he quit like 20. It wasn't like he was a year away. So he was like at most maybe like 25% of the way there. Okay, that seems reasonable if you decided it's not what you want to do at the moment. I told them 1 year of classes. By the no, I'm not even going to go there. I was going to say maybe it matters more what they're doing, but let's not even get into that. They believe I was very far along and quitting at the last minute. I told them 1 year of classes is nothing, but they don't realize how hard the exam and dissertation are. I think I could get them done. They think I could get them done if I just spent a little bit more time. I figured they wouldn't listen to me, but they might listen to someone else. I found an article written by a college professor that describes what it's like to get a PhD in my field. I told them I would not visit until they read the article and wrote a few paragraphs summarizing the article and discussing why someone would not choose to get their PhD. Hey, you ever hear someone say that you can be very accomplished in academics and still be pretty dumb? I've been there. it, look, just finish the post before we go off. I guess there could be something to ameliorate this. It's not meant to be a long and difficult project. I just wanted them to understand my point of view. One thing you need to know about human beings is they love being assigned homework, especially like from their child, and also being railroaded into an ultimatum where your child literally won't visit you until you watch this. Anyway, my boyfriend and siblings did their essays. Did their essays? And apologized. And my boyfriend went above and beyond by including other sources besides the article. It's probably because you're dating another nerd like yourself, dummy. That's all you know. You've been in school for 24 years. You're 26 years old. All you know how to do is write essays. He probably got a big old nerd boner for it. Who would have thought that your boyfriend would, acquiesce to your ridiculous ultimatum? What a ridiculous, what a surprise. My parents still haven't done their essays and haven't apologized and still complain that I'm throwing away all the work I did. Am I the asshole for standing my ground and not visiting until they do their homework? This is a classic example of not such a horrible idea, but an absolutely disastrous execution. You're the asshole, but slightly based. Yeah, I would agree with that. Look, okay, so now this is the part of the discourse where I then get myself into trouble. One thing I do want to know, and I imagine that it's not the case, but did the parents pay for the education up to this point? That doesn't give them ownership over what the child does with their life. But if the parents pay for the first year of the PhD program, and then I guess many PhD programs are like scholarship driven, maybe, I don't know. But then I could understand why they might be like, hey, you're quitting in a situation. PhDs are usually funded. Okay, well, then disregard. That's fair enough. But I could see why in that case they might be like, we got to give this more thought. You also, like... Are your parents maybe not seeing it your way? Yeah, but you said it yourself. Like they've never been to grad school. Like for a large swath of the population, perhaps even myself included. The idea in your head is just like the more school you go to, the better your job is at the end. Where I think the way it actually works in some disciplines is that if you get your PhD, you're kind of gated into the academic pipeline. And if you just stick with your master's, I don't know, maybe you could work in like private industry or something related in that sense. So there might also just be like a difference in, career path based on them, but your parents might not be aware of that if they haven't been to grad school. Lord knows I'm barely aware of it. And I didn't go to grad school, but many of my friends have their master's degrees. So I think I'm able to chime in here. I guess it depends on the field. That's fair. But, the reason you're the asshole is because, look, if you're a parent, you might not want to hear this, but part of being a kid is being annoyed by your parents now and then because they have a different perspective on issues than you do, and you talk about it because if you're trying to be a happy family. You just tolerate it because you probably annoy the shit out of them in other ways. Like every time I talk to my mom, she's like, have you guys gotten your wills done yet? And I'm always like, no. And then she always like admonishes me. And in my head, I'm like, we're fucking busy. Like all the time. It's like, I know it's good to get done. It's on the list, but it's one of those things that's like important, but not urgent. Hopefully. So every time she talks to me like, I can't believe like you lazy bones aren't getting your wills done. And it's more for me. I'm like every single day we're like clawing and scrapping for like 15 minutes of free time. Right. But then simultaneously, I also remember that when I was in college, I was probably annoying the crap out of my mom. or even sometimes now she'll be like, hey, if I'm driving somewhere, she'll be like, like if we go on vacation last week, she's like, text me when you get there. And then like 7 hours later, she's like, oh, did you get there? And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. So, like you take the good and the bad, but you have conversations about it. What I would be very upset with, I would probably get over it like pretty quick. But if my mom was like, hey, I'm not going to talk to you again until you watch this 15-minute video about why it's important to have a will, and then like write me a summary of the video so that I know that you watched it, I would that would put a strain on our relationship. I would find it very disrespectful. And that's from my parent down. The child up is, I think, even more of an uphill battle to some extent. Even though they're an adult, they're probably not used to the relationship going in that direction, right? So yeah, I would say you're the asshole. I mean, you could link them the video and be like, hey, if you want to know where I stand with this PhD stuff, this video would help me, like, this would help you come to an understanding with me, maybe, or watch it with them or something like that. But instead, being like, I will not visit you until you've done it. I'm like, whoa, geez, somebody thinks she's super important. Oh, they're not going to come over and ask me for money for 6 months. Oh, that's going to be so hard for me. It's not fair. You miss your kid, don't get me wrong. But like, I mean, as long as you're trying to bring a power dynamic into the situation for no reason, then be careful, is I guess what I'm trying to say. Anyway, let's see. You're the asshole, but I love you for it. I think that's fair. And this is a joke. Tell them they should apply themselves more and stick with. That's a joke. I can laugh about that. I'm not humorless. Ha 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 ha. Everybody sucks here. They may be naive and are being rude about it, but you sound insufferable. I wouldn't do an assignment because someone in my family demanded it and I actually like reading and writing. Yes, absolutely. I agree. This is funny as hell. Everybody sucks here. Everybody sucks here. Assigning homework is juvenile. Yeah, okay. Look, people, this is what, because in the last post, I was like, holy crap. I'm not clued into the rest of society, even though Chad agreed with me for the most part. This one, I'm like, the reactions are completely correct. You'd think if I guess it just goes to show everybody's got an opinion that they're aberrant on, I guess. Not the asshole. Clever way. I definitely, when I think about the way that I interact with my parents, I really want clever to be like the first word that comes to mind. Not the asshole. Clever way to flip the script on them that way. If they can't write a few paragraphs, they have no right to lecture you about dropping out of a second graduate degree. Do they have 3 degrees? No? Tell them to shut it. Hey, Mom, shut it. Owned. And then my mom handed me a crisp $100 bill. A master's is nothing to sneeze at. Well, it's good to see things through if the end result is desirable. So many people wind up in debt with degrees they never use simply because that's what's expected of them. The never quit attitude hurts everyone. Sure, okay. None of that was included in the original post, but go off, I guess. This is a classic online debate technique, I think, which is... write something that's unrelated but true at the bottom of your post to make the rest of your post appear that much more credible. Comment deleted by user. Worst advice I have ever read. What did they say? Something to the effect of, sometimes family members say inappropriate things. It's part of being a family. You have to accept it. Oh no, that was my literal point. Thanks for telling me, and I agree with you. That is utter bullshit. If anything, families should be held to higher standards than other people. Okay. Enjoy exclusively arguing with your parents for the rest of your life if they do anything that isn't exactly what you want them to do. Being inconvenienced or irked by other people is utter bullshit. I never do that to other people. Other people are always enamored with my inane conversations about 45 minutes of... Did you see that tweet that was like... women, and this is not my tweet, so don't get mad. It was like, I will literally give my boyfriend a 45-minute preamble just to talk shit about somebody for 5 seconds. This is, for me, the embodiment of that. They think that everyone's so enamored with their conversations at all times. Maybe I'm projecting. Not the asshole. If they'd apologized, at least then might say yes. If they'd done anything to indicate they get there wrong, I might say yes. Okay, don't leave me hanging. Geez, could we get some updates so that annual contract 115 can finally weigh in on this situation? We're all hanging with the thread about waiting to see where annual contract 115 falls on this issue. Not the asshole. Hard not the asshole. One thing I notice about older people, not the asshole. One thing I've noticed in my anecdotal evidence about old people is they're convinced they've already experienced our hardships. My parents come from an era where shit costs next to nothing and both have hired help to do their laundry, cook, and whatnot. Getting a degree is easy as hell. Feels nowhere near as advanced. Hardest part is getting into university. After that, they just go to the discos every single day. When I showed them my schoolwork, they never bugged me about being dumb or slow ever again. Are you okay? Do you need the... Like, look, everybody likes to talk about themselves. 3 words, 2 of which are duplicates, about the post they're replying to. And then just the entire paragraph about needing a friend, really. And just being really rude to their parents, which admittedly, maybe they deserve some degree of rudeness, but like, I don't even know them, man. You're asking me to kind of meet you there in the middle. They might be nice people, okay? Everybody sucks here. Your family is not supporting you, and that's idiotic. Okay, that's fair. However, assigning them homework with summaries, dude, what kind of passive-aggressive bullshit is that? You could send them the article, tell them why it's important to you and what you took away from it, but making them do a book report makes you an asshole too. Yes, I couldn't agree more, quite frankly. There we go. We finally, Grandpa Joe Sloth, the certified proctologist. There we go. I don't get why everyone thinks you went too far assigning the essay. Your family were trying to make you do years of study. Were they, though, like, based on the post? Or were they just, like, dropping out as a major decision? Or don't even call it dropping out, but, you know, abstaining from completing it? Were they trying to make you do years of study and write a whole-ass academic thesis? Or were they just like, are you sure you want to do that? A 1-page essay on a single article about why you're being unreasonable is hardly anything by comparison and hilariously apt, not the asshole. Why are so many posters so into the idea of owning their parents? That's when I flipped the script on my father, who, you know, was a great male role model for me for the entirety of my high school career. What's up with people acting like writing a couple paragraphs is so hard? It's nuts! I always forget when you go 3 posts down in anytime you have to click read more comments, you're about to read some of the most insane shit that's ever been written. We gotta not do that ever again. Okay, let's throw a slash marker in here real quick. Oh. So many people are so concerned about, you know, being the top dog in their family. So I do want to check out We Want Plates, but we've actually gotten some great posts. I'm gonna keep going down this a little bit here, just because we've gotten some really spicy ones today. Honestly, like these have been genuinely. The first couple were a little milquetoast. These ones are getting to some interesting territory where I disagree a lot, which is new to me. So many red flares. What about this one? Am I the asshole for nagging my sister into getting pregnant earlier? That's going to be a weird one. Am I the asshole for telling my ex-coworker's employer the reason why she was ostracized at the company? My ex-coworker's employer. Okay. Let's see. This sounds bad. It sounds like you're the asshole. It's a billion paragraphs long. It has like 15 edits. Oh man, okay. 4,500 comments. This story actually takes place over multiple years. Oh, you don't say. George R. R. Martin mouthing right now. We'll try to go fast. Here goes. Also, English isn't my first language, so I apologize for my poor language skills in advance. A little background. I work in corporate HR. My company has a very generous maternity leave policy. It gives you 26 paid weeks off and the option of taking a month or so more if you have extra sick or personal leaves left, or else you can take unpaid leave for the same time. Okay, so there's 26 paid weeks. It's like 6 months. That's pretty good. So part of my responsibilities is to make recommendations for selecting employers or employees for specific projects. So a couple of years ago, there was a huge project that needed a team to be created for. Being part of a project like this would normally establish your career in the industry. You could decide your own career path based on the reputation you get based on a project like this. It would be hectic and difficult, but worth it in the end. Let me guess. I'm just guessing. I didn't want to select anybody that might have the audacity to be planning on getting pregnant, and then they had that son of a bitch got pregnant, and I took that personally because it reflected poorly on me for not being Nostradamus. That's just my guess. That's my guess of what's happening. We interviewed prospective people within the company and selected a core team that would take it up. Among this team was M, a recently married female who was generally thought to be a hard worker and quite knowledgeable. Like with everyone else, we interviewed her for the spot and asked her if she wanted to be part of it. However, a month or so in, M announces that she was pregnant and that she would be taking her maternity leave in a month's time. She would be completely unavailable for around 7 months and basically leave the team short-staffed for the major part of the project. We had to quickly select a replacement, get them up to speed, and have them take over. It meant more work for everyone, minor delays, etc., etc. Someone in chat said this is capsaicin level spicy, and it absolutely is. Because we're only 4 paragraphs in here, and I'm like, let me start by saying I can understand in the most generous reading possible that somebody would be like, if they were planning on getting pregnant, or maybe they already were pregnant, but just weren't announcing it yet, it would have been nice if you had let HR know that so that we could have discriminated against you by not putting you on this project that's going to make your career. However, I also feel like if you don't exercise, and I don't work in the corporate environment, okay? But I feel like if you don't exercise, your rights by, it sounds like she was appointed to the project as it was a meritocracy. She interviewed for it. She got the project and earned it. If you don't go for that, even if you are pregnant, you're just screwing yourself over. It's not like the company is going to be like, oh, thanks for not doing that career advancing move in advance of you trying to establish a family. Now we're going to give you a promotion. If it, in the future, it might end up biting her in the ass if she had been nice about it, because if she's going up against other candidates that played the game a little bit better, she would be at a disadvantage. Moreover, just the post existing just makes me mad, because I'm like, look, not everybody, most people will probably agree, I think, but not everybody will agree. But your life is your life, and your career, it's your job. Like, this is 2 very different priorities, and I think they change weightings in your life for sure. Like when you're younger, before you have a long-term serious relationship, or before you're thinking about having kids or something like, or maybe you're not thinking about like your health or something like that. Your career could be your life, but the idea like that, oh, what a bitch for putting her career on the back burner to take advantage of her relatively narrow window to start the family that she wants to have. Like, that's crazy that someone would try to hold that against them. Anyway, so far I think that's where I'm at 4 paragraphs in. Let's keep it moving. What pissed off the top management was that M knew she was pregnant when she joined the team. She never mentioned it during the interview, because then we would have not hired her. By not telling anyone in advance, everyone felt that she can't be trusted in the future. She basically became a pariah, and no team lead wanted her in any of the critical projects. Wow! That's pretty bad. Also, like, yeah, it seems insanely illegal. You're not supposed to admit that part. I think you're just supposed to like do it, but not tell anybody. Like, don't send any emails or make any posts or anything like that, because if you ever end up in court, you're gonna get, you know, raked over the coals. She's gonna take you for all you're worth. Within a year, M realized she progressed much in her career at this particular company and left for another job. I wonder why. After she had the audacity to get pregnant and make all of us do a little bit more, it meant more work for everybody, minor delays, etc., etc. She decided finally to leave. Fast forward a little while, I was talking with the HR guy from the company Emma joined, and he asked me about her. This seems like I don't know if this is like a violation of privacy rights or something. Emma joined. He asked me about her. I told him the truth. Both that she was a good worker and is dedicated, but that she is not honest or trustworthy. What? Because she got pregnant? Because she's not honest or trustworthy. Oh my God. Sorry. I need to scroll down a little bit here. That's crazy, man. Now, this basically meant that M gets a similar treatment at the new company. She is considered a good employee or team player, but no one wants to select her for any critical projects. Well, you're just like a piece of shit then, huh? It's not enough that you did it to her for essentially no good reason when she was at your company. Now she goes to a new company because you guys treated her like garbage, and then you torpedoed her there as well. Some of my friends say that telling HR about the incident makes an ass with $2 signs. It has gotten me to feel a bit guilty. Oh, well, we wouldn't want that to happen. The OP feels a little guilty for terrorizing a woman for two different employees or two different employers just because of the fact that they said something that might be illegal. I wasn't sure what the right move should be. P.S. Feel free to ask for more information if you need it. I've already said the quiet part loud, and in court will lose my entire life savings. I might as well just keep going. I just want to be clear. M knew she was pregnant. Did I mention that part? Like, she was exercising her human rights, and then acting appropriately given the labor laws of the country she lives in. She wanted to be in the project, so she didn't disclose that she was pregnant. Her team, you're thinking a lot about this lady. You're not thinking at all about her team. They had to pick up the slack on this one, man. The company had no choice. There was absolutely nothing. Well, the CEO probably could have taken a 0.05% cut to their salary to hire another equally abled person to do that. But no, there's nothing that could have been done. She torpedoed this multi-million-dollar serious project by just getting pregnant and not telling us. Her team. It's not about me. It's her team had to stretch themselves thin to make it up. Our company has as a general rule, we have no issues with women taking time off for pregnancy. In specific situations, we may have some issues with. As a general rule, we're all for it. We love it. Happy families make happy workers. But in this one unique situation, we're going to treat you, I believe their words were, it pissed off the top management. She can't be trusted in the future. She became a pariah. No team lead wanted her in any critical projects. I told the other HR rep that she's a good worker, but she's not honest or trustworthy. But in general, we don't have issues. Legally speaking, if a lawyer's asking us, as a general rule, we don't have issues. In specific situations, we might break the law in order to just ruin someone else's professional life just to be petty. But as a rule, we're all for it. Even beyond the policy mandated time, the most I've come across is a woman getting 15 months off. She came back to work and faced no repercussions. At first, I thought you were an asshole. And I'm happy to admit that I was so wrong, because now you've pointed out that a woman has taken advantage of all of the maternity leave that she's entitled to, and she didn't even face any repercussions. I thought for sure you would bring her back, and then maybe after that, you would maybe treat her as a pariah or gossip about how she's untrustworthy to every other employer within her industry. But she didn't even face any repercussions. And you're going to say that they're the asshole? I should have mentioned this before, but the HR guy was formally asking me about M. It wasn't like I was talking about her at the pub. I don't work in HR, but this actually almost feels worse to me. I think if you were intoxicated at the pub, I would be like, maybe loose lips sink ships or whatever. But wait, can you formally ask about an employee? I guess if they phone you on your work phone, that's a formal ask. I don't know where people got the idea that she was just a month into the pregnancy when she was interviewed. Just to clarify, she was pregnant long enough that she knew she wouldn't be completing the project. Everybody's talking about her feelings. Nobody's even thinking about the feelings of the cement plant that we were building. Nobody has asked how the cement plant feels about this. Everybody's just worried about the human being. It's crazy. She didn't mention it because she wanted the project on her resume. Bro, everybody gets this. Everybody knows she didn't mention it because she wanted to be on the project. Because if she told you that she was pregnant, you clearly would not have selected her for a project that she's worthy of being on. Our company never punishes an employee for taking maternity leave. Obviously! It's every point of defense that they offer in this post is literally, we follow the law, okay? We follow the legal rule of the law, except for a couple of times when I gossip. But in this one specific situation, I really think that she should have let us discriminate against her. But in this case, the team lead did not want her on their team for high-profile projects after she returned because they didn't trust her to be forthright. Because if she was forthright, you wouldn't have hired her for the project, which would have put her further back in her career just to benefit a company that in all likelihood, especially based on this post, doesn't actually care for her well-being whatsoever. I thought it would be obvious, but our source for M's motivations were M herself. She admitted all of this herself. So does that change anything, that she admitted that she knew she was pregnant when she applied for the job? And just to clarify, I didn't put out a blanket statement of her trustworthiness, even though I said she's not really honest or trustworthy. I explained the incident and explained that due to this, her coworkers consider her untrustworthy. It isn't me. I don't consider her untrustworthy. I just said to the other HR rep, nobody thinks she's trustworthy. It wasn't me. I didn't say I think she can't be trusted. I said nobody thinks she can be trusted. By the way, I'm losing my mind because the judgment here, not the asshole 50%, you're the asshole 47%. So even though the flare is asshole, over time the votes tallied and not the asshole ended up being in first. I don't even think this is a super woke opinion. Just you have an obligation as an employee to, propel yourself as far ahead as possible, especially within the bounds of legality. and the company just won't give a shit about you at all. Like the lies or the laws are there to be exercised, you know? Anyway, let's click on this. Okay, here we go. You're the asshole. Laws may be different where you are, but in America, what you did would be an illegal move. We have laws to protect workers from that kind of bullshit. You have no business whatsoever having that conversation. Your company, your rules. Yeah, this isn't the USA. I assumed the 26 weeks of maternity leave may have clued everyone else in. Maybe you could have told from the fact that we have great maternity leave that there are no repercussions for exercising usually, that we're in a country that actually cares about its workers' rights, except for, why would it be illegal to share her performance details with her new employer? And her performance details, of course, were getting pregnant and not telling anybody. Hey, ladies, just remember, when you see that pregnancy test, when you see those two lines pop up, the first phone call you gotta make is to your boss, okay? It is not nice to not let your boss know first. Then, father of the child, maybe your parents, if they've done their essay recently. 100%, you're the asshole. She didn't have to tell you she was pregnant when interviewing for a project. What you did was ethically wrong. As someone in HR, you should have known better than to do that. Yeah, if you're in the US, she could sue you. Yes. I do have to check. Like, let's look at an opinion that we don't necessarily agree with, okay? She didn't have to say she was pregnant. The only obligation she had was not committing to a responsibility she knew she wouldn't be able to fulfill. She chose to make that commitment in the full knowledge and intent of not fulfilling it. Corporate lawyers spotted. The reason for which she wasn't available is irrelevant. She said she would do something she had no intention of doing. The word for that is lying. And as a direct result of her lie, several colleagues, including the other mothers on the project. Is there a won't somebody think of the mother's fallacy? I'm pretty sure that the other mothers can be asked for their opinion if they exist in this situation. Why don't we ask the other mothers what they think about what M did in this situation and see whose side they're on? That would be an interesting conversation. They might not agree with me. I just think that rather than put words in their mouth, it might be good to ask them. They had to put in additional labor. There was nothing the company could have done. Regardless of what legalities may or may not obtain morally, OP is in the clear. Regardless of the laws that they broke morally, they're in the clear. That's important. For sharing this relevant information with her new employer. Protected category does not mean exempt from the standards of ethical behavior. Oh, thanks for the gold. Really? Thanks for the gold, kind sir. Okay. We disagree. Let's put it that way. OP, you may go to prison, but go there with a song in your heart, knowing you did the morally right thing. Not the asshole. You mentioned in a comment she admitted to knowing she was pregnant and wouldn't be there for 80. You mentioned in your entire comment about 20 times to knowing that she was pregnant and wouldn't be there for 80% of the project, but didn't tell anyone because she wanted it on her resume. In that case, she definitely isn't a team player and admitted to it as well. Your Honor, I may have breached the privacy standards that have been set out in the Charter rights for citizens of this country. But have you considered the plaintiff is not a team player? The plaintiff, they didn't give 110%. They didn't go into the boards to try to win hard puck battles. They didn't do the little things right. They're not a team player. Hi, I have a genuine question about this. For all the "you're the asshole" responses, I'm a woman, and while reading this, I thought he wasn't the asshole. I don't know much about HR work, so that could be it, but could someone explain it to me? I'm aware you can't have someone miss work opportunities because they're pregnant, but she basically missed the entire project. It feels unfair to me that she would miss probably 90% of a massive project and didn't tell anyone. Can someone help me out? Also, I understand how he's the asshole for telling the HR guy a few years later, but I don't understand how he was originally. I am just like, and I actually like understand it. Because I think if you put yourself in the position where you're like imagine you were doing a group project and you were like, hey, you want to be in my group? And then a week into a 16-week project, they were like, by the way, I'm going to be like going to school abroad for the next 4 months and I won't be able to help out that much. I think you would be annoyed a little bit. The flip side of that, though, is that, when you're in the rat race, it's kind of every person out for themselves. And when you're, what's the word I'm looking for here? When you're willfully not taking advantage of the labor laws that are given to you as a human being, you're giving the company the benefit of the doubt, and the labor laws are there so that your company doesn't exploit you, because they probably, as a result of you doing what you might feel is the nice thing, you would probably end up holding your career back, potentially permanently as a result. So I feel like you have the company has a responsibility to treat you to the letter of the law, and you have a responsibility to yourself and your future self to act within the scope of your rights as well. Yeah, not to mention, this is not even worth pointing out necessarily, but it's not like she took a 6-month vacation. It's probably like a couple of weeks getting ready for the baby, absolutely terrible 48 hours in the hospital, followed by 6 months of learning how to raise a brand new human infant, right? And then the other part of this that pisses me off is everyone's acting like the company had no choice but to make the team, like now 5 people have to do 6 people's work. Why don't you just put another person on the project? I don't understand. Like there's so many other alternatives here. But yeah, plus they did. But they had to, hey, you forgot the part where they had to get him up to speed. Hey, you forgot the part where they had to get him up to speed, man. Anyway, I'm a woman in HR. Most people have their US lens on. It's unethical to knowingly volunteer for a project you won't be available for just for the resume pop. Look, is it unethical? I don't think so. I really don't. Is it not nice? Yeah, I think it's not nice. I think it is kind of a not nice thing to do. But at the same time, I think, well, I don't know. I'm very unethical. I'm trying to think about, I know where I stand on the issue, and you do too if you're listening to me simultaneously, but like you're there to, like that's what the law is there for. If you have the right to protect the information about whether or not you're pregnant or planning on getting pregnant in the future because it's considered a privacy violation because they can discriminate in hiring decisions, then by keeping that information private, I don't think that's unethical at all. That's what it's there for. Is it unethical from like a Greek philosopher standpoint? I'm like, I don't know. Who cares? I guess the thing I'm thinking is, would the company also be ethical towards her? And based on the response to the corporate HR here, my answer is probably not. So I feel like, I think she did what she should have done. Hold on, let's close this one up. I'm probably going to be downvoted for this, but not the asshole. They asked for your opinion and you were honest. She was dishonest in the recruitment process and caused stress for the team. What a bitch. The only reason she even had that baby was to piss us off, man. So selfish. Couldn't she have just waited like 3 years for the project to be done and then have the baby? Although then by getting that project done, she probably would have been up for some new job interviews and possibly could have started interviewing at new places for a huge increase in her salary, at which point she wouldn't want to get pregnant then either because it would be unethical to like interview for a new job knowing you have a plan to have a family in the future. So then she would like go work at a new job. She might be promoted into like a management position and then she's going to have the audacity to have a kid at that point. pregnant when, she's in charge of all these deliverables for a large, like when is it? Oh, and then she's dead. She died of old age. Okay, well now it's her free time. She can do with it whatever she pleases. Not the asshole. You might get beat up over that whole pregnancy is private thing. But it's like anything else. If you know you can't complete a project for any reason and hide it, you deserve a reputation. You don't deserve a reputation as someone who can be trusted. People are crazy, man. I'm like, I don't know what to say. You're the asshole, a huge one. Deleted. They must have been cyberbullied, man. No woman is required to disclose her pregnancy, and in fact, it is illegal to ask in interviews. If it was a man, you never would have done this, and your company wouldn't have blacklisted her. You and your company are misogynistic, punishing a woman for having a child and then ruining her future opportunities. Get over yourself. Where's the lie? There's a million reasons she could have thought she would be able to work through her pregnancy. It's highly unusual for someone to take maternity leave during the pregnancy unless it is a high-risk pregnancy. That's true. Usually at most, you don't want to use much of your maternity leave in advance of the pregnancy, or in advance of the delivery, I should say, because you really need that time afterwards to get adjusted to life with the baby. Sometimes it can happen, I guess. But again, whether, you can't discriminate whether or not to put someone on a project based on whether or not their pregnancy is high risk, unless you're like the devil. Unless it is a high-risk pregnancy. We don't know her history. We don't know her past experiences. Every single person in these comments is villainizing her without even giving her the benefit of the doubt. This wasn't some big conspiracy or strategic manipulation. Should she have gotten pregnant at a more convenient time for her coworkers? I don't know where you all live and work, but you clearly deserve better labor laws. If you don't see why this is wrong, I can only imagine that you think it's normal. In many places, this would never slide. I mean, I agree. It sucks. Maybe I'm going to have to delete the VOD if I get this kind of response to it. I'll just get over it. I was there for the pop play. What? No? She was already an employee. She was merely being selected for the project. In normal circumstances, we would never ask... Oh, this is OP. We would never ask or expect to be told beforehand about a pregnancy. It's normal. In general, we're very pro-pregnancy. We love giving out the legally required maternity leave. As a general rule, we would never expect to be told beforehand. But again, in this one specific location or situation, we're not asking you to tell us you're planning on getting pregnant. We're just asking for you to forego any and all opportunities if you're planning at some point on having a family. But when she was offered a spot to the project team, we expected her to inform us she wouldn't be available for about 80% of the period. No woman would be punished for having a child. If that was true, do you honestly think we'd have such a maternity leave policy? So, look, there's two people I want to hear from here, okay? I want to hear from the perspective of the other mothers on the team. And then secondarily, I also want to hear from I want to know what the project was. Wouldn't it be great if they work at like Party City and it was like a refresh for like what their Halloween costumes are going to look like Halloween 2022? Would that change your opinion on this? Or if they worked at Yum Brands Incorporated and they were trying to figure out how to tweak the recipe for the Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich? Like I've been operating on the assumption that this is like some kind of infrastructure construction project or something like that. How funny would it be if it was like, we need to figure out what the movie poster for the new Black Panther's gonna look like. We gotta composite it. You can't afford to take 6 months off from this. This is a big deal. Anyway, this is, you know what? There is some arguments here, don't get me wrong, but this is, pardon me, this is what it's all about, man. It's spice, and spice is nice. When it comes to the React content, at least. I mean, we were on that one for like half an hour. I don't know. In this situation, My perspective, it's going to be very hard to tilt me off of the idea that if she's operating within her legal rights, anything that she can do to advance her career, if it's only at the expense of the feelings of the corporation she works for, then that's what you got to do, because I would expect that the company would leave her in the lurch as well. That's my take on that. Also, her coworkers, though, I think her coworkers should be of the opinion that why can't we just... I mean, they put another person on the project, right? Admittedly, the biggest project I've ever done in my life was probably like 3 months long. It was a little game I made in Unity for like a programming class. So I've never built a nuclear reactor or, like a big wind farm or something like that. But I would like to think that if I was working on a project like that, and then my company said, hey, we got to take someone off the team and put someone new on, I'd be like, why? And they'd be like, oh, she's having a baby. And I'd be like, oh, congrats. I don't know. Maybe I haven't been in the corporate environment long enough to, when the doors close, everything becomes like Succession. And you just, how dare she? How dare she make me, for the next week, respond to more emails and sign more forms or something? Like, admittedly, I don't know. And I'm only coming from the perspective of what I know. I'm not saying that's how the real world works, but that's where I fell on that issue. She didn't even give the calico cut pants. And the other thing is, I think you got to put it on the flip side. If she goes, I'm going to get pregnant, they don't put her on the project, she takes her maternity leave. If you play the tape forward for 10 years on that, what does it get her? Is the company under any obligation in the future to be like, hey, she, did right by us in the past, so next time we get a project, we're going to give her a leg up? Like, no, that's like a handshake, wink, wink sort of deal, right? So I think she's got to take, her opportunity to, to get ahead when she can. And she did it on merit. It's not like she was stabbing people in the back. Also, it's not even just is she the asshole for not admitting to the pregnancy in the first place, which, again, who cares, in my opinion at least. I don't work for the company, obviously, though, unless it was Amazon, in which case you're stealing food out of my kid's mouth. The other asshole question is, should she have been outed for this at her new company? And that one, I think, I definitely am like, you should just keep your mouth shut, dude. I understand you got a chip on your shoulder, but anyway. We're moving on. Am I the asshole for selling my vacation apartment to one daughter, even though my other daughter asked for it first? Am I the asshole for being rich? No, but let's see where this goes. Okay, everyone. So many people in chat were like, fuck you, we hate you. Not to me, but to the poster. Hello, lovely people of Reddit. That's the first, one word or one sentence. For some context, I'm a 78-year-old woman living alone. You gonna change your tune now? Seems like an affable lady so far. I know you thought it was John Taffer, didn't you? I bet you thought it was John Taffer. No, yes. I own a house that I live in and my children grew up in a beachfront apartment. This is where our family vacationed often when the children were growing up. I have two daughters that I'll call Violet and Rose in this story. Okay, so your children are in their middle age. Health issues have led me to be unable to maintain this apartment, so I was looking to sell. Names have been changed to protect the innocent. Let's just call one of them Desdemona and the other one... Anyway. So I was looking to sell. I mentioned this briefly to Violet last year during the stage where I only considered selling, and she said when I was ready, she would buy it. I said that would be lovely, and the conversation ended. When I decided to officially sell 3 months ago, I told Violet and Rose, and to my surprise, Rose also offered to buy it. She never mentioned wanting to buy this, but she had been looking at other holiday properties around the area. Neither of them were budging on their offer, so I suggested they co-buy it, which was meant with a firm no from both of them for reasons I won't get into. They were never close, unfortunately. After deliberating for some time, I made the decision to offer it to the open market as a result of this situation because I worried that it would create negative feelings in my family if I chose one of the daughters over the other one. Nope. I decided to offer it to Rose despite the fact that Violet asked for it first, for several reasons. Rose is only a 2-hour drive away and would get more use out of it. Rose was already visiting it at least once every 2 to 3 months, while Violet visits it once every 1 to 2 years. Violet lives across the country about a 4-hour plane ride away. With COVID lockdowns, that makes it difficult for her to come. Honestly, I do have to say that seems like a pretty good reason. Rose is married with 3 children that love the beach, while Violet is unmarried with a partner but no kids and is out of childbearing age, if that matters. Not something that typically comes out up in the real estate buying process, but you got her, I guess. My eldest granddaughter was already strongly considering living in it before I announced selling it because she has plans on attending college and university about 20 minutes away. Look, would I maybe have suggested just selling it on the open market to avoid family drama? Maybe, but these seem like 1 and 3 in particular seem like good reasons to give it to sell it to one over the other. I believe selling to Rose means the apartment will get more use and enjoyment, and Violet will still be able to visit for vacations if Rose permits and isn't using it. However, Violet is extremely upset and refuses to talk to both Rose and I. She believes I'm disadvantaging her because, hey, it's like the flip side. Rose is what happens when you exercise your legal rights to have children in the middle of a work project. And Violet is what happens when you choose to be career focused. See, and then people start having kids. The people that have kids get concessions because they have kids, and you're out here like, I gave up that time in order to advance my career, and I'm getting still hit over it. And they're like, yeah, but at least you behaved ethically the whole time. No kids, no cottage. It's that simple. At the end of the day, it's my apartment. I believe I have the right to choose who to sell to. Violet has offered to pay more for the apartment in an attempt to sway me. Healthy family environment, for sure. Get your kids involved in a bidding war over your vacation home just because of the fact that they don't like each other, apparently. At the end of the day, it's blah, 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 blah. I'm a nearly 80-year-old woman racked with health issues. To put it bluntly, I don't have many years left in me, and I don't care about the money. So am I the asshole for choosing to sell to Rose? Dude, I don't know what happened to me over the past couple of weeks. I'm off my freaking rocker, man. You're the asshole, 48%, not the asshole, 39%. Well, where do I fall on this? IMO, not the asshole. But let's read the edit at least. I do have to say, by the way, am I the asshole for choosing to sell to Rose, even though my other daughter asked for it first? If your children in this dispute are like, in their 50s, asking for it first is not like, that's like a schoolyard law. This is not how we settle, disputes, especially over stuff that's this serious once you enter the adult world. Mom, I called shotgun. I licked the wall and said my germs, and now you're going to sell it to Violet instead, or Rose? I can't keep it straight. Anyway, I feel conflicted, so I would like some outside opinions. I appreciate all these comments. I do not favor Rose for having... now I can understand on Reddit why she ended up being the asshole. You're the asshole for discriminating against your own daughter for not having kids. Post-history, r/child-free, r/antinatalism, r/ a boring dystopia, r/late-stage capitalism, et cetera, et cetera. I was nearly like Violet. I didn't get married until I was 37 by choice and didn't have children until I was 38 and 41 because I focused on my career. I thought I would never want to get married or have children. Critical hit. Oh, no. Okay. I just want to read the comments, okay? You're the asshole. Violet asked you first. And you're, to be fair, she did say, that would be lovely. It sounded like you were supportive of her buying it. Your reasons for selling it to Rose are arbitrary and essentially assumptions on your part. I don't blame Violet for being upset with you. How you responded to the situation appears to be favoritism. Look, oh my God, I refuse to read this. You know how to use Reddit formatting? You've self-selected that I will not read your comment. I'm sorry to say. That's rude. I'm still not going to read it, but I apologize. I disagree with the judgment on this one. That being said, I do understand that she did say, hey, Mom, I'll buy the vacation home off of you. And then you said that would be lovely. Now, at the same time, that might have come up casually speaking, you know, as like, maybe I'll sell it one day. That's not an offering. That's not an invitation to like, you have the exclusive right of first refusal to buy something. But I could understand how how Violet's feelings could be hurt over this. I even see math in it. Anyway, hold on. Moving on. You're the asshole. All the reasons you've stated for this are horrible. You are disadvantaging her because she chose her career instead of having a family. Admittedly, I'm playing into OP's headcanon, but I mean, if you have the option to sell a property within your family to somebody who lives 1 to 2 hours away, or somebody that lives a 4-hour plane ride away and also doesn't use it too much, it seems like you make the right thing. You made the right decision by offering to not give it, but like sell it to the person who uses it more often and can use it more often easily in the future. Rose is getting much more use out of the apartment. The fact that she has kids who are also going helps in that favor. She lives closer, visits more often, keeps the place more often. The most logical choice is Rose. It's fine that Violet chose to have her career, and that's wonderful, but that's not the only issue. It would be illogical. It's not playing favor. It's literally illogical. I do agree. Everyone else is focused on the wrong things, not the asshole. Have you considered the dibs, though? Have you considered the dib factor? You're the asshole. If both wanted it and neither wanted to co-own it, I would have sold it to a stranger. I do agree with that. For sure. That's a good take, in my opinion. But I am also like, it does sound like the character known as Rose is using it much more frequently. And as a result of that, I'm like, maybe it was better to not put it on the open market. It seems like Rose has a sentimental connection and is getting use out of it. With this handled, I suspect OP is also the reason her girls aren't close. Tell me you're a psycho without telling me you're a psycho. I've read 4 sentences about someone's life. Hey, you're the reason your daughters don't talk, even though they're adults in their 40s. Please don't make such assumptions. Oh my God, they were in a fatal car crash that killed their father when they were only 13 and 15. Their relationship has never healed from these events. So knowing this, you decided to sell your apartment in this manner, which could only result in resentment, especially when you decided the one who had kids was more deserving. Oh my God. And they ratioed her. That's the worst part out of all of this. 81 posts, you're a bad mom. 82 posts, actually, there was an indescribably bad family trauma that happened. 86 upvotes. Don't care, didn't ask, plus you're old. That's insanity, man. Don't care, didn't ask. Plus, ratio, you fell off. All right. Well, I think we got one more in us. Actually, I think we got 2 more in us because the one that's 2 away looks really good. Hold on. We'll go fast, I promise. Okay. I wonder about these people that just go into every discussion trying to win, you know? The worst part about it is that I think that if you spend too much time online, you think that that's what all interactions are like. And as a result, you then get infected with that. And you go through life thinking that every interaction is, there's a winner and a loser. And then it's just like it spreads like a fungal colony or something. How about just like, I think you should have sold it to a third party, but I can understand your reasons for selling it to Rose. Instead, it's like, you're a bad mom. Actually, they suffered something indescribably tragic that forced them apart from one another. Don't care, didn't ask. Shut up. Everyone who's a bad mom, give context. Bad moms, give context. Am I the asshole for nagging my sister into getting pregnant earlier? I'm 28 and my sister is 36. We've always been close and on good terms. Well, until mom sells the vacation apartment. One thing that always annoyed me, we've always been close. One thing, though, that always annoyed me is that she's the kind of person who believes in the power of energy to the point where she refuses to go to the hospital and claims she can heal any illness she has on her own. The roller coaster. I was like, we've always been close. She does annoy me. She believes in the power of energy and she can heal disease with the power of her mind. Okay, fair enough. I think she's lucky she's never faced serious medical issues visibly so far. She's been married for 6 years. They wanted to enjoy life before having kids. He says he's ready, but she refuses and he's respecting her wishes. She says she's ready. He says he's ready, but she refuses and he's respecting her wishes. She says she's ready now. Oh, okay. But she communicated with her spiritual guides who told her to start having children when she is 44. They said 4 kids, so she might be having kids well into her 50s if that's even possible. That's a prickly situation. I know that it's better for women to get pregnant before 40. We know how many people who had kids in their 40s and those kids had serious issues. Sure, okay, this is not like anecdote, is not data, but I understand what you're getting at. I mean, even if it's biologically possible, I guess the risk of a high-risk pregnancy goes up. Every time she brings up this weird plan of hers, aptly described, I suppose, I tell her she's being reckless and isn't taking into account the serious risks. She doesn't listen to me and is stubborn in her thinking, yet she keeps bringing it up around me. 2 weeks ago, I was talking with them at a family gathering, and she brought up her weird pregnancy plan. I told her she was being unrealistic and once again pointed out, okay, yes. She said it's because they lacked the connection she had with the spiritual realm. I replied with something along the lines of, you're an idiot, and then turned to her husband and said, I hope you have a good excuse ready for your kids for going along with this nonsense. She's been upset since then. It's the first time she actually got upset about my reaction. She refuses to talk to me, and I know from my brother that her and her husband are fighting about this issue even today. My brother and others in the family think I was an asshole for what I said, even though all of them are also against her pregnancy plan. Yeah, that's look, I feel like this is a classic example of you're the asshole, but also you're right. This happens from time to time. You know, great idea, indelicate execution. I think that sometimes this is a situation where I think I wouldn't even say that she's being an asshole, to be honest. I would say she's being impolite and she's breaching social norms for sure. But this is not like, disagreeing with somebody on something trivial and then being like, fuck you, whole grain Tostitos are better than white corn Tostitos. This is a situation that potentially has like serious long-term health ramifications, right? So even though it's an asshole move, it's about a very serious issue. And I think it comes from a place of care about her sister and her sister's family. She just seems concerned to me. I say not the asshole. I don't need to look at the comments. I already know what they look like. This is what I wanted to see. Oh my God, they just keep getting better. Am I the asshole for getting pissed at my GF for spam calling me at 3 a.m. after clubbing when I was asleep? Am I the asshole for not shutting up at 4 a.m.? Am I the asshole for telling my mother-in-law it's inappropriate to bring something up I did as a teen to embarrass me at my own shower? Am I the asshole for shutting my wife out of the blender buying process? There's a lot of good stuff there, man. This is our hard stop, though, okay? I don't know. I gotta read the blender one. A little context. I have a hard time sleeping. I've recently fallen into a good sleeping routine, meaning I've been falling asleep at 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., which is usually unheard of for me. Respect. I'm a borderline insomniac. When I wake up out of sleep, it's hard for me to return to sleep, and my girlfriend knows this. She also knew I would be asleep because she checks snap maps constantly to see when I was last on. Plus, I hadn't replied to any of her snaps in hours, which I don't usually do. Can somebody in chat tell me what the fuck this means? She checks snap maps constantly to see when I was last on. Plus, I hadn't replied to any of her snaps in hours, which I don't usually do. Snapchat snap maps are posts that are geotagged, so it checks your location. Is that correct? Not really, but yes. Okay. You can just do that? You have to enable it. Oh, okay. That's crazy, man. Snapchat snap maps. You have to disable it. It's enabled by default. Oh my God! And you people are worried about the damn vaccine. You could check on your boyfriend's snap map on Snapchat and see. Oh, don't worry about him. He's asleep. Look, he's got a little pip in his house here. That's crazy, man. Anyway, edit. Oh, okay. We weren't even at. Oh, the edit comes in the middle. It's an edit in media res. By spam call, I mean she had rang me 2 times prior I hadn't woken up for. The third call woke me up. She spam calls me at 3 a.m., walking home alone from the club when she feels unsafe. Okay, you're the asshole. Kind of. Let's go further, but like the word unsafe definitely, it does a lot of heavy lifting there. Furthermore, she also, she feels unsafe and wants to talk to me on the way back despite knowing about my sleep issues. Okay. Like, would I be annoyed? Yes, for sure. And I don't think the boyfriend, as so far, has done anything wrong at all. Like, I don't think he goes to sleep, she's at the club, who cares, right? I would be annoyed, but if she's like, I don't feel safe, please talk to me right now. You gotta do the conversation or break up with her. Those are your 2 options. Furthermore, she also knew I had to be up early to get a train home from my university that she didn't take any notice of. She asked if I'm angry with her. I reply yes, because she's walking home alone when she had the option to go home with a friend, which would have been safer. She didn't want to stay an extra hour, so she left early on her own. And because I'm awake, it's going to take me a very long time to get to sleep again. I said it was selfish of her and she had little concern for me. I also find the lack of care for her safety a big issue because it's a 40-minute walk home in complete darkness. That's all very fair. I got to say, he pulled me back a little bit. He's not on the moral high ground for being super pissed about being woken up. But being like, hey, if you had planned properly, you could have just taken a cab home or something. You put yourself in this situation and it's inconsiderate of you. That makes sense to me. Yeah, I can see that. By the way, great time to have this discussion is at like 3 a.m. when one party is sober and the other party is probably intoxicated. But anyway, we get into an argument on the phone as she's walking back, and she's accusing me of not caring enough for her and says that I'm in the wrong for being mad. If it was an actual emergency or something bad was happening, I wouldn't have minded. I think you don't really know until that happens, though. Like, so if she had phoned and been like, I'm actively being killed right now, could you help me? He would be like, oh, gladly. No problem. I wouldn't have minded, but it's more the fact she knowingly took an extremely risky walk home when she could have gotten home a safer way, but chose not to. It took me around 2 hours to sleep afterwards, so I was even more upset after the phone call had ended. I'm going to be honest. Came into this thinking could be the asshole. Definitely left this feeling like he's not the asshole, in my opinion. Not because he was justified in getting angry at being called and woken up, but in my opinion, justified because she didn't plan for a situation in which she wouldn't have to call him. That's my take on the subject. I know it seems subtle, but instead of being like, don't call me unless you're being killed, which is kind of the way it's phrased, I think it's more like, hey, it's very inconsiderate of you to, well, I don't know, because now I'm like, I don't want to go so far as to say she put herself in a position where she would need to call him, because that's a little bit fucked up to begin with. But at the same time, I am like, if she had planned better, she could have just gotten home in a more safe manner than walking home through the darkness for 3/4 of an hour. I would be annoyed. I guess that's why I'm putting myself on the mindset that I would be annoyed too. Sleeping issues notwithstanding. I don't even see it as an everybody sucks here. Like I'm not even willing to say that he's like, why would he suck in this situation? I guess that from her perspective, it would suck to be like, hey, I'm scared, and he was like, you didn't plan effectively to not be scared, click, right? Like that if you're in her mindset, you would be like, well, I guess you don't care about me. I don't know if he hung up, but still, but I'm also like, could you have planned to take a taxi or something? Yeah, also, if you're going to bed at 9 p.m., your girlfriend's going out clubbing at 3 a.m., look, if it happens now and then, different opposites attract, etc., etc., but like, that seems like a bad fit. Just from the outside looking in. I'm not saying break up because I don't know anything more about the situation, but it definitely seems like you're going to end up in situations like this. He had an early appointment? No, I'm taking his side. I think going to bed at 9 p.m. is highly based. Although they do seem to be young based on all this nomenclature I've never heard of, like Snapchats. Snapchat. Come, gotta do with this down. Okay, dude. I'm going down to the blender. I know I shouldn't be doing this forever, but apparently I am. I'll just be better at the crosswords. Am I the asshole for not shutting up at 4 a.m. in real time? I'm 27F on my way to meet up with my family on a trip. Since I was in a wedding, I couldn't drive up with them and decided to take a series of buses to catch up with them. I started at 10 p.m. and would arrive at 8 a.m. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand this. This is happening live right now. It's being updated every 10 minutes. After getting off the first bus, we were dropped at a gas station with a small waiting room designated for the bus company. When we arrived, there was a lady and her dog sleeping, and it sprawled out so no one else could get in. Consequently, the rest of us waited outside at 2:30 a.m. for 40 minutes for the next bus to come. When it arrives, the lady gets on the bus and says she missed the last one's been waiting 15 hours for this new one. She and her dog head to the back. At the next transfer, we get by on a smaller bus, and my seatmate starts talking to me. I love practicing Spanish, so while we were in the rest area, we were chatting. As soon as we start driving, dog lady comes up and says, I know you guys were excited to talk to each other, but it's 4 a.m. I'm trying to get some sleep. I've been waiting for this bus all day and I'm tired. You need to stop talking. We honestly were not talking loudly, but I guess she needs absolute silence. I politely said that we would be as quiet as possible, but this was public transportation. There's no rule. Every passenger had to be silent. She threw a fit and talked to the bus driver. Am I the asshole for not going completely silent? I think I might be, because this is a time when people generally sleep. It's the easiest everybody sucks here of all time. Well, actually, no. You're the asshole. Yeah. Like, it is. I feel like they did some sneaky rhetorical stuff, right? Like I think maybe not everybody agrees with me, but I feel like it's good to be able to learn how to spot this. Like she, I should say, they did identify up here. She left a sentence in here that primed us. There's a small waiting room. When we arrived, there was a lady and her dog sleeping in it, sprawled out so no one else could get in. Consequently, the rest of us waited outside at 2:30 a.m. This is contextual. It does provide some preamble, but it also makes us predisposed to not, like, she's already the villain in our story just as a result of this. So we can't possibly, if we read this, the first time through, we can't possibly have a fair assessment of her character once the actual buildup starts happening here. So, it's poisoning the well. It's an inconsiderate move to be sleeping at the front of the door. It does also sound like she was fucking tired, man. She said she'd been waiting 15 hours for the next bus. Now, ignoring this, should you be able to practice your Spanish on a bus at 4 a.m.? No. You should be, like, in prison for, like, a day. There's rules of decorum, maybe unspoken, unwritten rules. It's the same thing. If you're on an airplane, if you're flying, like, across the international date line, or you're flying across the prime meridian or something, when they turn the lights off, you shut the fuck up. You can whisper a little bit, and people have got headphones on and stuff like that. But even though it's a public place, there's, like, rules of decorum for how you have to interact when you're around other people. I think that this happened to me one time. I stayed at a hostel like 10 years ago. And one guy, when he woke up you're sleeping like 6 or 8 people to a room just in bunk beds. And he woke up at like 7 a.m. and just started watching like soccer clips on YouTube with the computer speakers on. And you're just like, what are you... Well, it's, hey, if you're sharing a room with other people, of course you're going to have to deal with noise, right? Hey, why don't you just have noise-canceling headphones or something like that? Or, there's like, it's a situation. I mean, is it public? Everyone's like, it's public transportation. It might be. I don't know. Even if it is public transportation, if there's like 24-hour bus service and you're on a bus at like 5 a.m. and you're having a conversation at a normal volume, you're kind of the asshole, I think. I hate to say it, but I've been a night owl in my life, and even when I still had this opinion. But between the hours of like 10 p.m. and 7 a.m., you just kind of chill. That's when the earth is as quiet as possible, in order to make sure that everybody else around you can also do what they need to do. That's my take on it, at least. I think it's the same shit. Okay, well, what if there's a baby crying on the airplane, or there's a baby crying on the bus? I'm trying to sleep. Okay, whatever. Get some headphones. Fuck you. It's a public plane. You're on a public plane right now. There's 300 people around you, and you expected enough silence for you to sleep? That seems like you're the asshole. No, they should make a plane for babies only. Only an airline for babies. Anyway, I just wanted an excuse to tell the hostel story. Anyway, I don't think everybody sucks. Well, I don't know. She does kind of suck for falling asleep next to the door. That's kind of a dickhead move. But also, I feel like carrying on a conversation 4 a.m. on a bus is, maybe I have too much of a... It sounds selfish, but it's actually like the opposite, Because they're probably thinking, oh, it's the lady's interest in her not being able to sleep versus our interest in having a conversation. But if you're annoying one person, you're probably annoying like most people. It's just that one person had the cojones to actually like confront you and say something, whereas everybody else was like, I'll just be mad about it. But I think that it's your desire to have a conversation in what I would look, and it's different depending on the time of day. If it's 2 p.m. and people work different shifts, but this is just it's the unwritten rules of society as I see it. If it's 2 p.m. and you're on a public bus and you're trying to get some sleep, and well, it doesn't even seem like a public bus either. It seems like a Greyhound situation, which kind of changes things. Anyway, if it's 2 p.m. and you're like, hey, can you shut up? I'm trying to sleep. You just give her the middle finger and say, it's a free country. If it's 4 a.m., your desire to practice your Spanish is very secondary to the people around you having a peaceful environment. That's my 2 cents. Night planes are for sleeping. Night buses are for sleeping. You may disagree with me on this. Just download Duolingo. What, you don't have a phone, but you expect her to get noise-canceling headphones? Okay, we got to go to the blender. Everybody sucks here on a blender situation. You guys don't have phones? Well, you can practice Spanish at 4 a.m. in your own house, because when it's your own house, it's your own rules. So I can wake up somebody for snoring on a bus if I'm trying to sleep. Look, okay, I get it. You're a Redditor. There's a spectrum you have to consider of things that are optional and things that are not optional, okay? Things that you have like some control over, things that you don't have control over. If somebody's sleeping, they don't have as much control over the fact that you're snoring. You might choose to just, eat shit on that one and still try to fall asleep even though they're snoring. If somebody's wide awake and banging a bunch of crash cymbals together, dun, 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 they're both disturbing. But one of them is substantially more ruder and much more ignorant. It's the same reason, like when a baby cries, you can be annoyed, but you're also like, it's a baby. And when like a 35-year-old dude starts just shouting about politics on the flight, you're like, I wish that guy would shut the fuck up because we've got the same intellectual capabilities and he's being a real piece of garbage right now. What song is that? I've had it stuck in my head for a while. I think it's it's from Final Fantasy. I think it's the Juno theme. The Junon theme? Yeah, see? I don't know why it just popped into my head so well. I had to think of a march, and I was like, yeah, Final Fantasy VII, Junon March. Okay. Hi, everybody. I was hoping for some input from this community that I've seen on All a few times. I'm a 39-year-old man, and my wife is a 33-year-old woman. Chad, that's not... I know what you're going to say. 55-year-old man, and my wife, 19 female. That's not that crazy, okay? Unless they say they've been married for 15 years. She stays at home and takes care of the house. No children yet, while I work. We're going on 7 years of marriage. Last week, I received a large performance bonus, and I decided I would like to buy myself a nice blender with a small portion of the money. I know it's not the most exciting present to buy yourself, but I cook with a lot of purees and have a shake every morning. I've had 2 blenders die on me in the past 3 years and was determined to make my life easier. Seeing as it was a financial decision, I told my wife as much, and she told me to show her before I ordered it. It's a very Tim Robinson type bit here, huh? I know it's not the most exciting present to buy yourself, but I cook with a lot of purees. Okay, sorry. I researched a bunch of different models. Shopped around, checked out safety ratings? Is that a common You don't hear that much about blender accidents these days. I don't know if that happens That doesn't mean that they don't happen, I guess, just because you don't. Maybe they happen so much they don't even report them in the news because people are just like, another blender accident. What else is new? Water's wet. I found the one I wanted for just under $600. I called my wife to my computer where I showed her the model that I wanted and was mainly just confirming she was fine with it. She immediately responded by pointing at the suggested items list on the website, which showed a significantly cheaper model. She asked what I thought of that one, and I said it wasn't what I was looking for. I mean, that's a pricey blender, don't get me wrong. But you got a large performance bonus. And hey, the man, he has a shake every morning. And he cooks a lot with purees. I mean, this seems like a guy. If he literally has a shake every morning and cooks with purees, we're talking about he's using it maybe 400, 500 times a year. That seems like, by the gold standard in that case. I've used a blender like less than 10 times, I think, in my whole life. Then she said I should get a nice hand mixer to save some money. I kind of chuckled and said that I didn't really want one of those. She replied with, well, how about this blender? It's $500 cheaper than the one you close. I mean, the hand mixer's a joke. Like, does she even know? Sounds like she's dabbling in an avenue that she doesn't have GPS coordinates to. You want this guy to make a shake with ice cubes and a hand mixer? Are you crazy? Clearly, she doesn't work at Bon Appetit. I reiterated I was really looking for a good one that I could use for over a decade. But she was undeterred. She essentially took over my computer, then began the race to the bottom of finding the cheapest possible blender as I stood by repeating the same point about being in the market for a quality product. At one point, she went on Alibaba showing me an $11 product that would probably take a month to ship. Okay, come on. Lady, that's just... He came up with a $600 blender. You're over here on Wish.com trying to get the cheapest, the bargain. I was at my limit. So I finally just said, I'd think about it. She left the room and I ordered the $600 blender. Based. I figured when the blender got to our house, I'd explain. You know what he should have done is just been like, oh, I found this on Alibaba for $10. Yeah, you wouldn't believe it. I just did a little bit more digging. And then, look, I found the exact same one on Alibaba for 1/60th of the price. 2 days later, it arrived. She asked me how much it cost, and I said it was the one I'd shown her. She began sulking and said I didn't care about her opinion, to which I responded I told her I'd think about it. Then she asked when I ordered it. I responded about 3 minutes after she left the room. Yada da da da. It's the motherfucking D-O-double-G. She left the... Oh, okay. I thought about it in those minutes and made the decision I'd put half a dozen hours of research into. This is like how my dad buys stuff. He'll research like 4 dining room chairs for like 8 months. When I go like to my parents' house, if I'm there for a week, every day my dad will be on like overstock.com, furniturereviews.ca, like he every single purchase that he makes, he percolates on it for like at least 6 months. She's furious with me and keeps repeating that it's got to be that she has no financial power in the house, right? She's furious with me now and keeps repeating that I has no financial power in the house. Ooh. I think she's being completely dramatic, but she thinks I'm way out of line. Any input on who's right about this would be great. Okay, 2 things. Not the asshole 58%, everybody sucks here 20%. Okay? I got to work on this screen region. I agree, not the asshole. I definitely don't think it's everybody sucks here, because the guy is not an asshole. But I will also... I think this is a no asshole. What's the percentage on that? 2%. That being said, now I'm like, nah, she's kind of being an asshole. But she's kind of being an asshole, but I understand where she's coming from. She works from home, doesn't make the money. Maybe she's looking for some kind of way to exercise a little bit of control over the, financial spending of the household, right? She doesn't have the based on what is written here, it seems like she doesn't have the means to, do it herself. So maybe she just wanted to be like, hey, I'm going to, be part of the blender process. That's a genius idea. Malicious compliance. He should have bought the $600 blender and the $11 blender. Because that's my phone falling out of my pocket again. It would have only cost $11 extra, which is not that much when you're already spending $600. And then he could be like, look at this. I got the blender you wanted me to get. Oh, man. Genius. Yeah, and then he could have put the $11 blender into the $600 blender, turned it on, watched it get vaporized, and then said that's why you don't buy an $11 blender. But yeah, this is just a minor little conflict, man. This is not that big of a deal. Let's go see what the most insane people on the internet think about it. I personally am predicting that there will be some kind of a comment from someone that's about 16 years old that will be like, if she's like this about a blender, imagine what she's going to be like when you have children. Do you really want that in your future? Someone who doesn't respect you at all? Everybody sucks here. Hope you realize the fight's much bigger than just about the blender. She feels like she doesn't have any power. I suggest you find a good marriage counselor and do not have kids until you figure out if you can resolve this. Okay. Look. That's not quite the exact comment I said, but if you've ever had a spat with your spouse over something as small as a blender, do not have kids. I think it's a little reductive. A little bit of a red flag that you guys disagree on something. Everybody sucks here, regardless of whether $600 is too much to spend. You shouldn't have told her you'd think about it when you'd already thought about it. Hey, he's just being polite. You lied to her when you said, I'll think about it, when you were not intending to think about it, you asshole. He's just being polite. Two questions. Does your wife manage the finance? 2, does she have access to all the bank accounts, or is she on some kind of allowance system? Hey, before I weigh in on this blender argument, do you give your wife an allowance? What I'm trying to get at is what kind of underlying tensions or resentments there may be around money. She made a significant statement about feeling powerless, which you dismissed casually without a second thought. Okay, I do think that's kind of fair. Oh, man. People are not being that rude. Not the asshole. Sounds like you bought a Vitamix. That's what people in chat were saying. They were like, he could be the asshole unless it's a Vitamix, because those things will last forever. Given your stupid wife pointed out that you'd get a hand mixer, it's quite clear she has no clue about your blender needs. That is pretty funny. Also true, though. I mean, come on, a hand mixer? Are you stupid? To be fair, she didn't care about your opinion either. And disagreeing about an opinion is not considered not caring. It's called having your own opinion. Not the asshole. It's your money. Not the asshole. Big financial decisions should be joint. Sure. However, you said earlier is a small portion of your performance budget. Personally, I think if you're working hard at your job and get money as a reward, you should be justified in taking some of that money to treat yourself as you see fit, as long as other expenses are covered, which I assume they are. It's great you asked her opinion. She didn't really. Okay, I mean, that's all very reasonable. Get to the insanity, please. Please, I'm begging you. Get to the unreasonability. I love these info requests. They seem so demanding. Info. Is she a housewife due to it being something you both wanted out of marriage, something she primarily wanted, something you primarily wanted, or a force of circumstance? Fact. Which bear is best? Info. Does she ever get to spend $600 on a personal item like this? Info. Does she feel free to spend a bunch of money like this? Or do you pressure her to think of saving money when she wants to make big purchases? Okay. I mean, this was not as spicy as I thought it would, especially if he's getting the Vitamix. Wow! 59 upvotes. I'm just here to say, I'm just here to know what the actual F someone does all day. Looking after the house. Get a job, add to the finances, and then you get a say in how they're spent. All right, look. Info. How big is your house? Info. Do you have a pool? Info. Is this really relevant to the situation at hand? I will say, I mean, if we're using this as like a bit of a teachable moment, like there was as like a 15-year-old kid, if there was a situation where like the father went to work and the mom stayed at home taking care of the house and also the kids, I definitely had a bias where I was like, oh, she's got it easier. I'm not saying that's what I think now. I'm saying that's what I thought when I was a teenager. Now that I have a child and have worked in some more traditional environments, obviously this is an atypical gig right here, I kind of feel like the dad in a lot of situations gets off easy. You know, when you go to work for, it depends on the job, but working in an office, you know, if you're there for 8 hours, some days you do like an hour and a half of work and you're just kind of chilling. And also looking after the kids is exhausting. You know, like we have one baby daughter, and sometimes my wife and I will be like, hey, can you look after her for 10 minutes? I need a break. And then what we do with the break is we like vacuum. It's not like, oh, I need a break so I can like go outside and get some leisure time. It's literally just like, please just give me like a psychological like tolerance break to return to normalcy for a bit and then come back with a fresh mind. No, I get that they don't have kids yet. And I do then look at it and I'm like, I'm not going to say she doesn't do anything with her time. I'm basing it all on the Marge Simpson episode of The Simpsons where she starts drinking a glass of wine a day as a habit because she's bored with the house that looks after itself. I know the doctors say you should drink a glass and a half, but I just can't drink that much. But anyway, that's not that relevant to the blender situation, man. You think he's really going to be like, oh, I'm going to buy whatever blender I want because you just watch The View all day? That's not a healthy situation, man. I am a stay-at-home wife, so I can answer. I deal with everything around the house and repair appointments. I also mow. It means I deal with dog vet appointments. His one consistent chore is laundry. He wears a uniform, and I refuse to deal with it because of reasons that I won't list here. I'm not taking a side. It does seem like another thing you might do during the day is post a 4-paragraph reply on Reddit. But it isn't a 40-hour job week, but it's still a job that needs to get done. That's true. That is true. Also, our dogs are older and one has an immune issue. Okay, sure. We have joint finances and go over our budget together. You guys should try to stay within your budget together. I thought that was the point. This is punching down. Get out of here. It's the honey trap for me. I'm getting too snippy. There's no need for that. There's no need for that. Okay. Anyway, let's do some crosswords. This was good. This was good React Court. It was a Vitamix. Okay.